Good afternoon, everybody. I am very pleased to have you joining us today. To begin with, I would like to offer my own greetings in my own language. Yat e shitane do shikis. She'e Felika Ahastin Brian Shia. Hello and greetings to all of you, my family and friends. My name is Felika Ahastin Bryant. Nashashan Schligo Kia Ani Bashichin Torich Itnis Deshiche do Nato Tachini Deshanella. At ego dene asan Schliko. I am from the Bear Enemy people, and I am born for the Towering House people. My maternal grandfathers are the Bitterwater people. And my paternal grandfathers are the tobacco red running into the water people. This is who I am as a Navajo woman. I am pleased to welcome you to our event today. And I am glad to see that we are here to come together to open our minds and to raise awareness on how we can together protect our Mother Earth through this environmental justice and climate change and racial equity symposium. As the director of the Native American Educational and Cultural Center here at Purdue University, we are honored to serve as a co-sponsor. It is with a heartfelt reflection that I begin by acknowledging that we are on to traditional homeland of the Potawatomi, the Lenape, the Miami, and the Shawnee people, and other tribal nations that no longer have their footprint left here due to colonization or forced removal. Long before Indiana was a state and before Purdue University was established, these indigenous people were the original land stewards and maintained it not only for themselves, but more importantly, for the future generation. As a Dene Asan, or as I would say, a Navajo woman, I am profoundly grateful for their efforts. Thank you, and I will turn it over to Laura.
Thank you, Felika. An important recognition of the historical legacies and contemporary realities. And as Ruha Benjamin reminds us, it's critical to recognize Black and Indigenous communities and nations and the impossibilities of return for generations past. As we begin this symposium, I invite you to share land acknowledgements from your current home place in the chat box to join us in this recognition if you so desire. I also wanted to take a moment to pause and note that our strength and support goes out to Asian American, and Pacific Islander communities in this moment in time of grief. We stand in solidarity against hate and racism in all of its forms. In many ways, this event is about interweaving these discussions together. Almost 50 years after the creation of the Environmental Protection Agency, we are faced with multiple injustices occurring simultaneously as environmental destruction, climate change, and development adversely impacts communities across the world. These interlocking issues present critical challenges that need to be addressed from a multitude of perspectives. Today, we continue the conversation. Before I give a brief overview of the symposium, I'd like to introduce myself and express my gratitude for all of the folks who made this possible. My name is Laura Zanotti, and I use she, her, hers pronouns. I'm a professor in the Department of Anthropology and recent associate director of the Center for the Environment. The center is the lead organizer of this event, and I thank them and all of the co-organizers and sponsors, which include faculty and staff from Purdue's Climate Change Research Center, the Native American Educational and Cultural Center, Purdue's Honors College, the School of Interdisciplinary Studies within the College of Liberal Arts, the Asian American and Asian Resource and Cultural Center, the Patty, Rusty, and Roof School of Design, Art, and Performance. We have worked with the Office of Civic Engagement and Leadership Development on campus as well, and worked with energetic undergraduate students who were willing to collaborate, show up, and engage in this space. Thank you. Purdue's Susan Buckley Butler Center for Leadership Excellence Enabling Inclusion Grant was a seed and support for this symposium. We're pleased to be working with several institutions in Indiana of higher education, as well as hosting scholars from several others in this work today. The Honors College Visiting Scholar Program supported the keynote talk by Dr. Carlton Waterhouse, which will take place tomorrow. And the Black Cultural Center provided support and collaboration to invite distinguished guest and artist, Ms. Latrice Young, who will be performing shortly. Young, also known as Distinctly Unique, is a choreo poet, ghostwriter, voice actor, and creator manager from East Chicago and Gary, Indiana. Ms. Latrice graduated from Wirt Emerson Visual Performing Arts in 2014, and I'm pleased to note she graduated from Purdue University in 2018 as a creative writing poetry major with minors in African American Studies, Communication, Dance, Spanish, and Theater. Wow. Her recent theoretical performances include The Vagina Monologues, The Race, and Being Black. What you will find across these 2 days is that the symposium anchors our work in discussions across 4 thematic panels, 5 working group sessions, and several additional events. We hope you will join us in our symposium working group sessions that are focused on the same 4 themes as our panels, in addition to a session on the new carbon economy tomorrow. Please make sure to familiarize yourself with all of the events taking place this afternoon, and I will be posting some of these helpful links in the chat box shortly. Please try to join us in our virtual lounge. The spatial chat login information and instructions should have been in your invite email today, as well as posted in the chat box again by myself shortly. As a final note, we'll be recording the sessions to archive after the event, and we'll be editing out the discussions at the end. So please feel free to ask the questions, the hard questions that you want to ask in these symposium spaces. I would note that the recording is only happening in the panel sessions and not in the working group sessions. We also have live closed captioning at this event. Please reach out to me in the chat if you should have any questions, but I'll also be adding in a moment how to see that in your Zoom. Thank you again. And with that, I will hand it over to Dr. Tim Philly, our next speaker in the opening.
Thank you, Laura and Falika. From wherever you're logging into our virtual symposium, welcome. I'm so happy you could join us. My name is Tim Philly, and I'm a professor of geology and soil science here at Purdue, where I'm also the director of the Center for the Environment. Before we begin today's programming, I'd like to introduce you to our center's leadership team and the programs that support our goal to end environmental injustice. For over 15 years, Purdue's Center for the Environment has worked to catalyze, support, and promote interdisciplinary efforts addressing important environmental challenges that play out within complex social environmental systems. We are located in Discovery Park, where we enjoy the benefit of working closely with other centers, government agencies, policymakers, and industry leaders on innovative research and technology development to help create solutions for a sustainable world. Our guiding vision calls us to emphasize the deep connections between human society and the ecosystems that support us, to seek out more promising solutions to environmental challenges than those that focus exclusively on technology or scientific fixes, or on social, political, or economic considerations in isolation. Implicitly, many of the world's environmental problems, along with their potential solutions, involve both collective and individual behavior, as well as the consequences of our decisions and the policies we enact. With 180 faculty affiliates from 34 departments and spanning 9 colleges, we have developed mechanisms to support collaborative research communities and to catalyze innovative, multidisciplinary scholarship across colleges and departments. Currently, we are supporting 4 mature research communities called signature research areas, and these are biodiversity, building sustainable communities, chemical exposures, and water challenges. We are also supporting 3 communities where there is a growing interest in interdisciplinary collaborative research among our faculty. These include cyber-physical systems, circular economies, and environmental sensing. In addition to these 7 research programs, we have embraced a cross-cutting approach to address pervasive challenges and opportunities in areas of environmental justice, international sustainability efforts, and transitioning to a new carbon economy, one that sequesters more than it emits. The core leadership team includes me, Dr. Lynn Dahman as Managing Director, and from 2018 to 2020, Dr. Laura Zanotti, the Center's first Associate Director. The Center has also developed a collective leadership model that enables a variety of voices to contribute to the direction and success of the Center. Each of our research areas is led by a convener, a respected Purdue thought leader who accepts the role of developing collaborative excellence in their thematic area through faculty community development, event programming, scholarship, and external funding. We believe that the collective expertise of center affiliates in the environmental scholarship and practice gives us particular capacity and responsibility to address the intersection of racism and environmental justice. To do so effectively, we must actively seek out voices from environmental scholars who are Black, Indigenous, and people of color. We believe that diversity in approaches, opinions, and ideas is essential to create an inclusive vision for a healthy planet and for improved opportunities for all people to have access to clean water, air and soil, healthy food, and a safe built environment. This symposium supports that vision and is Purdue's first effort to host a multi-institutional event focused on environmental justice. Making this happen involved an incredible effort from representatives from many Purdue and external partners over the last year and a half, but it was led by our Dr. Laura Zanotti. Thank you, Laura, for your leadership. At Purdue, the symposium followed on a year of environmental justice focused events that included talks by national leaders working in environmental justice, small gatherings with local scholars in EJ that we called Lunch and Learns, and other events like screening of movies highlighting environmental justice issues in Latin America, organized by the Center's Arequipa Nexus Institute, where we could then engage the directors of the film specifically in exploring their vision. We will do this again tonight with the screening of Mothers of the Land, followed by a conversation with the film's director, Diego Sarmiento. The plan for this symposium took place early in the presidential campaign, and if the outcome of the election had gone another way, the atmosphere of this symposium might be quite different than it is today. The Biden-Harris administration has promised that environmental justice will be at the center of all we do, and to take an approach that ensures that environmental justice is a consideration in decision-making across the federal government. The inclusion of national thought leaders and scholars of environmental justice to key cabinet positions and leadership in organizations like the EPA has already begun. A perfect example of this can be seen in the appointment of Dr. Carlton Waterhouse from the Howard University School of Law to the EPA as Deputy Assistant Administrator for Land and Emergency Management, as well as the nomination of Dr. Janet McCabe, Professor of Practice at the Indiana University Robert H. McKinney School of Law as Deputy Administrator of the EPA. We are honored to have both Dr. Waterhouse and Dr. McCabe participating in the symposium. So it is with high expectations that we are here together to discuss how we can contribute to solutions toward ending environmental injustice in all its forms. Let's get started, and thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Philly. And with that, we'd like the performance of Miss Latrice Young to be presented.
Think about everything you do in a day. Ask yourself, if we had no access to water, to Maji, how would we live? Ask yourself, if we had no access to water, to Maji, how would we live? When I think about Nile River and what it's done for me, oh, when I think about water and how it's rescued me, I just dance, sing, yell, scream. Ah! Water, 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 water. Oh, when I think about the Nile River and what it's done for me, when I think about water and how it's rescued me, I just dance, sing, yell, scream. Ah! Water, 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 water. We used to work with water, worship water, praise water, give thanks to the water gods, Yimaya, Oshu, claim that water was life. Because when it came from Mother Earth, our crops would grow. That meant food to nourish our souls. We cried salty tears of joy, because when that blue liquid heaven came, we could now reclaim our livelihood. We were no longer in famine. Our thirsty, dry throats were quenched. Our Scents no longer stench, and we could live again, bathe again, drink again, sing. Funga alafia, ashe, ashe, again. Yeah, we could even dance to funky chicken again without worrying about falling out and dehydration because our cracking bones were mended at the river bends. And not just us, but our animals too could live again, breathe again, roam again, fertilize our lands again, feed our families again, keep the life cycle going again. Our animals paved the way for us. Beavers and their dams were our old flood protection system, one that nature provided. We didn't try to alter water's course. We followed it, let it lead us to the promised land. We understood how to work with water, how to properly use water and replenish our water-depleting bodies. Back then, water was sacred. Water was everything to and for us who are made up of 55 to 65% water, almost 75% making up our brain and our heart, nearly 70% found in our muscles, almost 83% running through our blood, 31% found in the average human body's bones. Us warm-blooded beings knew that water was the element from which all beings came and returned. This is what we knew about water in relation to ourselves, how drastically things have changed. Water, Maji. Today, Pittsburgh, Brady, Milwaukee, East Chicago, Chicago, Detroit, Philadelphia, Boston, Baltimore, and Trenton are cities plagued by water contamination. Lead levels higher than anyone could ever imagine. Brown, yellow, red, green, orange, black, colors residents saw coming from their faucets due to our disconnect from water. How does this happen? Our water distribution comes from cast iron pipes dating back to the 19th century to most recently plastic pipes beginning in the 1970s. These systems are old, white-owned, and strategically placed. Low-income neighborhoods suffer the most, which we know oftentimes means that Black people are suffering the most. Why should anyone be subject to poison, especially when death, brain deterioration, and mental instability are the end result, unless that was their plan in the first place? Today, we have forgotten the power of water. Villages, cities, countries worldwide are plagued with water scarcity. Many dealing with water shortages, poor sanitation, and a lack of access to clean water sources, mostly due to global warming and a political madness dating back centuries ago. If people are sharing the same water basins, it is almost impossible to live, let alone survive, off of the allocated water. Ponds, wells, streams, not of much help either because they are contaminated by human and non-human waste. It's a disgrace, an unnecessary tragedy when there's not enough water to bathe, often leading to infections and death, when the much needed non-human animals are too ill, dying off at increasing rates, unable to keep the life cycle going. In multiple countries, we cannot sit back and act like this is okay. We cannot pretend it's not happening. But if we took back the water world today, the first thing we should do is begin a plan that undoes our current water control systems. Plans that are similar to the protesters in Canada, Brazil, and the Philippines. A plan that resembles our First Natives' ways, while simultaneously implementing new ones that don't disturb nature. Call it water governance, water sustainability, water protection, holistic water management, whatever you call it. Just make sure water is revered. the big hidden secret to improving a society is recognizing the environment we all inhabit and learning to work with it. Today, I declare among the people ready to be free, ready to be healthy, ready to be one with Mother Earth, that my decolonized mind is here as one with the universe, not against it. I will no longer remain silent about the misuse and neglect of water. I will educate my brothers and sisters. I will help create new ways to save our nation. Here lies the harsh reality. If we keep ignoring our dependence on water, by 2030, half of our world population will suffer. We need to start investing in tools that help desalinate water. Tools like the desalinator, because without these tools, we have no water. And without water, we have no life, directly linked to the beginnings of life, shaping the world, serving as a path through the human passage of life, symbolizing purification, its manifestation mentally, spiritually, physically, emotionally, personifies change, growth, from the sky to the air, to the oceans, to the ground, on our bodies, in our mouths, in our eyes. Water saves lives, creates lives, and keeps the circle of life in motion. Without water, there is no humanity. There is no joint lubrication, no nourished brain, no regulated body temperatures. Without water, there is no earth. Water, Maji. Water, Maji. We come with water. We move with water. We survive with water. We grow with water. We nourish with water. We flourish with water. We need water. We need water. We need water. If we want to be free, we must wade in the water. Wade in the water. Save our water, protect our water, go back to our old native ways and work with water, worship water, praise water, give thanks to the water gods, Yemaya, Oshun. Reclaim that water is life, because contrary to popular belief, we can live without a lot of things, but we cannot live without water.